My mother ordered me to stay quiet at my brother's engagement dinner because his fiancée's father was a decorated general, but the moment he saw me he stood up, called me ma'am, and revealed the secret that made the glass fall from my mother's hand and caused the fiancé to walk out of the event. "You're going to stay quiet. That is your only job tonight." My mother, Susan Mitchell, whispered those words close to my ear so softly that no one standing nearby could hear. But the expression on her face was the same cold firmness I had known since childhood. I was standing at my brother's engagement dinner. I had a champagne glass in my hand, a hall decorated with white flowers was in front of me, and people everywhere were congratulating my brother Adam and his fiancée Charlotte. But my mother was not focused on the celebration. She was only watching me. "Mom, what did I do?" I asked quietly. She answered immediately. "Just don't cause any problems tonight. Charlotte's family is here. You know who her father is, right?" I looked down at my glass. "General Richard Walker?" She nodded. "Yes. A retired general. A decorated one. People respect him. I don't want you ruining this evening with your old issues." I was about to say something when a voice came from the other side of the hall. "Excuse me." Everyone became quiet. I looked up. A tall man around 60 years old wearing a black suit was walking toward us. I had never seen him before. It was Charlotte's father, General Richard Walker. He walked straight toward me. My mother's expression changed. "Richard, this is my daughter, Alyssa." General Walker looked at me for a few seconds. Then he stood straight and said, "Ma'am Alyssa?" The glass in my hand almost slipped. The entire hall went silent. My mother quickly said, "You must be mistaken." But General Walker looked directly at me and said, "No. I know exactly who I am looking at." Charlotte, who had been smiling moments earlier, was now standing there confused. "Dad, what is going on?" General Walker looked at me. "I'm sorry that I have to say this here, but some truths cannot stay hidden forever." The glass in my mother's hand started shaking. And within the next few minutes, a secret was going to come out that would not only end an engagement, but also destroy the false story my family had protected for years. My name is Alyssa Mitchell. I am 36 years old and I live in Denver, Colorado. But before that night I was always the person in my family who was told to stay quiet. My mother always believed family reputation was the most important thing. Even if protecting it meant sacrificing one person. My brother Adam was 3 years younger than me. Since childhood he had always been my mother's favorite. When he made mistakes she would say, "He's just a kid." When I made mistakes she would say, "You should know better." I never fought about it. I thought maybe every family was like that. But slowly I began to understand that the problem was not just favoritism. My mother had created a story about me that was not true. A few years ago when I had finished college and started my first job my mother called me. "Alyssa, do you remember your father's old files?" I said, "Yes." "Why?" She stayed silent for a few seconds. "Some things are better left alone." I asked, "What do you mean?" He tried to laugh. "I mean just let the past stay in the past." At the time it felt strange. But I let it go. My father, James Mitchell, had left my life very early. I was only 10 years old when he passed away. I didn't have many memories of him. But there was one thing I remembered. He always called me, my little investigator. He used to say, "Alyssa, never stop asking questions." Maybe that was why I always felt like something was being hidden from me. About a month before the engagement dinner my mother called me again. "Alyssa, you're coming, right?" I said, "Of course. Adam is my brother." She replied, "Good. And remember one thing." "What?" "No old stories." I became quiet. "Mom, why do you keep saying that?" She immediately answered, "Because sometimes you get emotional." That was the sentence she always used. Whenever I brought up something real she said I was being emotional. But that night when General Walker called me ma'am, I realized maybe someone else knew the same thing my mother had spent years hiding. People were still silent at the event. General Walker reached into his pocket and pulled out a small folder. I thought I would never have to talk about this. Charlotte looked at him. "Dad, what are you doing?" He looked at me and said, 12 years ago your father, James Mitchell, saved my life." I stopped breathing for a moment. "What?" General Walker nodded. "During an operation in Afghanistan. Your father was a civilian contractor, but he risked his own life to get my team to safety. I couldn't speak. My father had never told me that. General Walker continued. Later, I learned that your father had submitted a report exposing major financial corruption. My mother's face turned pale. I looked at her. You knew. She stayed silent. General Walker looked at me. Your father collected evidence against several people. One of those people was someone close to your family. My heart was racing. Who? He said quietly. Your uncle, Robert Mitchell. Whispers started spreading through the hall. I remembered something. After my father's death, my mother had always said it was an accident. But she had never explained anything. I looked at my mother. Mom, you knew. She looked away. Alyssa, it wasn't that simple. No. Answer me. She stayed quiet. Charlotte looked at her father. Mom told me your family had no issues. General Walker said. Because she was never told the truth. Then I learned what had really happened. Before my father died, he had placed certain documents in a secure location. Those files contained evidence of Robert's financial corruption. But my mother hid them. Why? Because Robert threatened her. He told her that if she exposed the truth, he would destroy Adam's future. My mother chose to protect Adam. And she silenced me. For years. But during all that time she forgot one thing. I was also James Mitchell's daughter. And I had inherited his need to search for the truth. After that night I went straight home. I didn't call my mother. I contacted General Walker and asked where my father's files were kept. He gave me the name of an attorney. 2 weeks later I had those documents in my hands. Then I went to my mother's house. When she opened the door and saw me, she immediately looked worried. Alyssa. I walked inside. We need to talk. She understood immediately. You found out everything? I said, yes. She sat down on the couch. I was protecting you. I looked at her. No, Mom. You were protecting Adam. She became silent. You don't understand. I said, I'm 36 years old. I understand. Then I placed the file on the table. But now everyone else will understand too. Within a few months, legal action began against Robert. Adam and Charlotte's engagement ended that same night. Charlotte had told Adam, I can't be part of a family where the truth is hidden. My mother called me many times afterward. Sometimes angry. Sometimes asking for forgiveness. But some things cannot be undone. Even today I remember that night. The moment my mother wanted me to stay silent. And the moment a stranger stood in front of everyone and gave me the respect I had never been given. General Walker called me ma'am. But the respect was never in that word. The respect was in knowing that for the first time in my life, someone had refused to silence my voice. If this story connected with you, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more emotional and powerful stories. Your support helps us continue sharing moments of truth, courage, and resilience. Thank you so much for spending your time with us today. We truly appreciate you being part of this community.